What's that? No!
Having begun my journey as a complete novice, I rode my motorcycle across North America, Ireland, and the UK. From Europe, I'll make my way across Asia and down to Australia. New Zealand's southernmost drivable point will mark the end of my trip. I'm calling it the Big Spiral, and this is Act 5, A Journey Through Europe.
All right, good morning. We're back in Jeroen's garage. So I actually went back to Canada to renew my driver's license because, well, I kind of need that for this trip. And the timing's a little funny because actually it's been almost exactly a year since I started my trip from Canada. So, yeah, it kind of made sense to, oh, it's been 1 year, maybe it's time to go back to Canada for a bit. So anyways, the point of all that is that I brought some stuff back from Canada to put on the bike. So yeah, we'll get to that. But I think the first thing I want to do is work on, here, let me explain. All right, so right down here, this is the intake box. This is like a tube that brings the air from the intake to the engine. And then in here is the throttle body. So basically there's a valve in here that lets the air into the engine. But there's also what is called a secondary throttle plate, which is sitting right here somewhere. I'm not sure exactly. Anyways, it's a bit of a weird thing. This throttle plate only opens at 6,000 RPM. And it does a little bit of a weird thing to the power curve. So the power curve on my bike looks like this. So it opens at this point here. And, well, basically it's kind of, if I remove that throttle plate, it'll bring a lot of power back to it'll look like a normal power curve. It'll look more like this. And it seems like online people that have removed this throttle plate seem to think it's a good idea. And so I'm going to give it a try, even though it's not, the bike came stock with this thing in there. So yeah, so basically I have to take the bike apart a little bit to get access to this throttle plate. So yeah, let's get to work on that. Oh, so the first thing I need to do is take the seat off, make my life easier. Oh, that wasn't so bad actually. So it's basically this throttle plate, it only opens at 6,000 RPM. And well, by that time you're already most of the way through the rev range. And I'm not even quite sure why it's in there. Most people seem to think the bike runs better when you remove it. So, but actually removing it is the tricky part. But I'm gonna try my best here. I got it. All right, so these are the parts that I took out. Yeah, very simple. And there's what it looks like after. So basically what that does is, well, an engine needs air to run. And the more air you can provide the engine, the more power it'll make. Basically that little plate reduces the amount of air that goes into the engine. I'm really curious to see what the bike is like without that in. A lot of people on the internet say it's like, yeah, this is how it should be in the first place. So sometimes things get so stressful that you just forget to record, and you just sit there angrily messing with the bike for about an hour. I was just trying to get the boot back on, this rubber, I don't know, coupler between the airbox and the intake, and that was actually the hardest part, to get that back on. Taking it apart, that was easy. All right, next bit. All right, so the next thing I want to do is, this is like a little snorkel. This is like a little intake for this air box. And basically what this does is it lets air into the engine while also trying to reduce the amount of water that goes in case you dump it into a creek. And I'm just going to take that out. I'll show you the difference between the two. So this is the original, and you can see the intake is quite small. And then this is the new one, quite a bit larger. Basically, it just allows more air into the engine. All right. So while we've got that all apart, I have another mod I want to do. So if you remember in Colorado, my battery died there.
What's going on, my guy?
And I learned the hard way that the bike does not run without a battery. So I've got a bit of a solution, and it's this thing. So what's inside here is basically a capacitor, and if I wire this to the battery, I should be able to jumpstart the bike with only this and without the battery. Basically what this does is the capacitor smooths out the voltage generated by the stator. The stator is basically like an alternator for the motorcycle, and so basically it smooths out the voltage and it makes it so the bike can run. So it's essentially, a capacitor is like a little battery that just discharges fairly quickly. And yeah, if I wire this in, it could potentially save the day in the future. If my battery's good, then I have no problem. But in the future, this could be, I could be in the middle of the desert somewhere, and this could save the day. And I should explain. So this is actually been dipped. So basically, this round thing is the capacitor, and then I soldered some wires. You can see up here. And then I just dipped the whole thing in something called Plastidip. So basically it's been waterproofed. But yeah, this could save the day one day. All right, so I've got that capacitor wired in, very simple. So yeah, the capacitor is just sitting here, and then I've got it wired up along here, and then just directly into the battery. And so that may save my butt one day if the battery dies in the middle of nowhere. I should at least still be able to push start the bike, and hopefully right away. So, all right, so I figured out the next thing I want to do. Basically, if you remember, I've got a tank bag that is sitting here. And I'm going to have my camera stuff and batteries and things in there. And I want to be able to charge them. So I've got this little USB charger thing. It's designed for motorbikes. It's designed to go through a tank bag and stay waterproof. So I just have to wire it up. Pretty much, I think. It should be simple, I think. So I've got some wires running from my little kill box. Basically, when it drops below 12 volts, these wires will turn off. So I'll put the seat back on, and then I'll wire in the thing for the tank. All right, so I've got the tank bag kind of set up, and I've got basically the connection. So basically this thing is going to fit, this side's going to go on the inside, and that side is going to go on the outside of the tank bag. All right, so that kit comes with this template to cut a hole, and so I guess I have to cut this X. Cut away from your body, Eric. Cut away from your body. Okay, there's a hole. Yep. Okay, so basically the way this bit works is one side goes on the inside and one side goes on the outside, and it just kind of squeezes the bag and creates kind of a waterproof seal. And then we'll just go sans cover. So on the inside of the bag, we'll have this part, which is like a USB kind of brick, and that just plugs into there. And then this side will plug into the bike. Let's go have a look. Okay, let's see if this connects now. I think that'll do. All right, so I've got it on the bike, and then yeah, it connects under here. It's the design of this system is not great because you have these long, hard kind of connectors, and you have the same problem on the inside, and it just takes up so much space, and it's just not really. Yeah, I think it'll have to do. I think it should be waterproof. If I dump the bike in a creek, I'd like the inside of that bag to stay dry because it is actually a waterproof bag. So we'll just try and see how it goes. Okay, our next mod is this thing. I'll explain. Okay, so this is my kickstand, and when this kickstand is in like a soft ground like mud or sand or whatever, the bike will tip over because there's the kickstand just punches through. So what this does is it just makes the bottom of the kickstand bigger. This is actually from a Kawasaki Versus 650, something like that. But I think they have the same, my bike and that bike have the same kickstand, so I think it's gonna work. Yes, it fits. All right, so the next thing I want to install is, it's trying to escape, is this case. And yeah, so I wanted, this was why I have the tank bag and everything, because I want to make this case a lot smaller. So I have a very much smaller case here, but I need to set it up so I can mount it on this kind of adapter plate. The first thing I need to do is take this plate off. Okay, so the way this works is that each of these little pucks, they basically slide in and lock into place. Now, my problem is that this puck actually wants to sit right on this lip. So I just need to grind this down just flush, and then everything should fit pretty good, I think. Okay, let's see if this fits now. I think it does. I actually don't have the instructions for how to align this properly anymore, but hopefully this works. So I'm just going to use a hammer, and then as I tap each hole or each bolt, it'll make a mark, and hopefully kind of a guide for drilling. Now we make the holes bigger. All right, let's see if this adapter plate fits on now. It's a bit tight. Yeah, the pucks aren't straight anymore because there's a curve in the case. All right, I think it's gonna be a problem. So I think it's time for JB weld. I need it to be in that position there, but when I tighten it, it's more like this position. So I'm gonna kind of put it in this position, and then the JB weld is gonna kind of fill this side, and I think that'll help my situation a fair bit. You see, this is epoxy, very strong stuff. All right, so now that I have this on, it's gonna hold all these pucks in the right orientation, and the JB weld is gonna kind of fill the holes between the pucks and the case. And yeah, I'll just leave that overnight, and hopefully in the morning, everything is kind of aligned properly. So yeah, we'll see, I suppose. All right, good morning, it's the next day. I'm really curious to see how my case held up. If my kind of hacky job worked. So let's have a look, I suppose. So the JB weld is dry now. I think it's tight, but I think it's gonna work. Yeah, actually it fits really nice. Like it's a tight fit, but it's good, I think. All right, well, I guess we can install this on the bike. Again. Oh, it fits so good. All right, this is such a big improvement. It's so much smaller on the back of the bike. Before it was like up here and deeper. Yeah, I got these locking latches, and there we go. All right, so the next major job is to do the sprockets. So the front and rear sprocket and a new chain. So this will be the second time I've done this. I think. Second time, yeah. All right, so I decided to go with actually a bigger set of sprockets. So this is a 15 tooth and I had a 14 tooth. Basically, when you have more teeth, there's essentially more teeth to wear, so they'll last a little longer. Yeah, the goal is just to do this work less often. This is the second time I'm doing this already, and I'd like to not do it again so soon. So yeah, that's why I went with the bigger size. So I've been wanting to put something called a steering stabilizer or a steering damper on the bike because it's meant to help a lot in, well, sand, and it also helps a bit with safety. I'll explain what it does later, but this whole thing requires a bit of a custom setup. So as you might recall, this part of my bike is like a kit. It was made by a guy in Austria called Gerald. And I'm one of the only other people in the world with this kit other than his, you know. And so he's made a steering damper for his bike, but I have a different size handlebar on my bike. So we need a different kind of setup. So he's actually made a custom version of his setup. So this is like a handlebar riser that will also take the steering damper. It's pretty cool. So I got these custom made in China and then shipped over here. So basically this is the only version of this in the world. And I don't even really know if they fit. They probably I think they will, but it's all a bit of a mystery. Like, nobody's done this yet. So let's try and install these on the bike.
Good.
Shiny, right?
It's very shiny. It's very unlike your bike.
Well, there it is. It looks pretty blingy, if I do say so myself. So basically, what a steering stabilizer will do for me, the biggest thing is that it'll basically make the bike a bit safer. So if I'm riding off-road and I hit a rock or some random route or whatever, the steering, it'll prevent the steering from getting deflected too much. It'll kind of resist that deflection, because if you hit a rock and then all of a sudden your bars go like this, you're going down for sure. So that's kind of the idea. It also makes riding in sand quite a bit better, just because your steering won't be like swimming around so much. Of all the upgrades I've done in this video, I think that's the one I'm most interested in, most kind of curious about. And it has all these adjustments. So if you're a bit nerdy, this is like a low speed adjustment. So basically it'll like dampen the movement from away from center, and then when you're returning to center, it'll be undampened. And then there's another adjustment here, there's adjustments on the side, so there's actually quite a few adjustments. Anyways, it's all super nerdy stuff. But the idea is to kind of make riding the bike a bit more safe, because I'm planning to go into some pretty remote places with a lot of off-road dirt and things like that. And I'm really curious, actually. I'm really curious to see how it all works out. All right, it's a new day. I've got all these upgrades on my bike that I'd like to find out how they are. And
a lot of work.
Yeah, so we're gonna go for a little ride. Jeroen's bike is, well,
Even more work.
yes, it's all in pieces.
So I got this.
You have a solution. A Royal Enfield Classic 350.
Yes, it's called classic, but it's very modern because it's got ABS and electric start and everything. So originally English bikes, but now they're all made in India. So you're probably at some point in your travels you're gonna find these bikes
Yeah.
without electric start and a lot of mud on them probably and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see how rides have.
Yeah, I'm curious to see which bike is faster.
We'll have a drag race to 100 kilometers an hour on the highway.
We'll do that.
And I think there might be some windmills we're going to go check out.
All right, there he goes. It's I have not ridden with other people very often, so I'll have to see how this goes a little bit. It's already going a lot faster than I would here. It's amazing how much smaller his bike is. Okay, so my bike definitely has more power on the low end now, just from that little acceleration. Yeah, it's definitely better. Definitely better. Steering damper just feels, there's no difference right now in the feel. It's more going to be off-road that it's going to have a feeling. I can try a little here. It felt normal there. Oh, windmill. I think we'll try to see one in a turning one if we can. Next to the canal. It's a very Dutch scene, that. Oh, the bridge is up. We're getting the full Dutch experience today. I feel like, are we allowed to? I guess so. What a cute town. You have to be very cognizant of the cyclists as well. Make sure I don't lose. Oh, he's up there. Oh, look at this street. The Dutchest of all streets. See, look, even the boats have traffic lights here. The windmill is really turning. It's so cool. Right in town, too. So Jeroen suggested going towards the ocean, and he said there's some really good fish we can have for lunch there. So I think we're gonna go do that. Look at this little car. So those are illegal for driving basically in the bike lanes. Well, we made it to the North Sea, I think. Alright, where is he taking me? I feel like we're going to like the some kind of back stall for seafood. I know the feeling because I've done something similar in Japan before. You know, like it's just coming straight off the boat, through the building, and onto your plate, pretty much. Oh yeah, I think that's exactly what we're doing.
All right, we got our kibbeling. Very much like fish and chips.
Yep.
But smaller pieces.
This is the best.
Yeah, it's really fresh.
Yeah, it is. You can taste it.
Seagulls were waiting for the table to leave.
They cleared it
Cleared it off.
in seconds.
Oh my god.
What's that? My bike's leaking still? My bike's leaking. No! My bike is leaking.
Yeah. Same spot. I don't know where exactly, but it's dripping from the same spot under the bike. I don't know what it is anymore. All right, ready? Well, that was a nice lunch. A little bit ruined by my leaking bike. I don't know why that is. I can't stop thinking about the leak.
No. I'll have a look later.
Oh, it's turning. It just started turning. Isn't that nice? And that windmill's turning too. They're all turning today. Wow, it's really pretty here. It is so pretty. Oh, that's a nice way to go. Yeah. All right, well, that was a fine ride, but I couldn't help but think about my leak. My bike sprung a leak again, and I think it's from the same spot. And I think, yeah, it's from the. I think it's from the sprocket again. Well, it's definitely leaking. You can see it's leaking.
Yeah, I can see it.
There's a pool of oil under there.
Yep.
I don't know where it's leaking from, like the inner side or the outer side, probably the inner.
Yeah, you can see it.
Yeah. All right, so I just did a bit of work and took the sprocket off and had a look at basically what could be leaking. It's still not super obvious what is leaking. But there's a few parts in there that I may try to replace. I'm just going to order all the seals again. And there's also like this sleeve. It's basically a tube that goes on there that I didn't replace last time, and I read online that some people recommend replacing that. But as it stands, it's not leaking when it's not running. And actually, what's happening is basically it looked so bad in the parking lot earlier because we just had lunch for about an hour and there's a pretty big drip on the ground like that. And basically what's happening is the leak is coming down the engine and it's catching in my skid plate. So when I'm riding around, it's just kind of pooling around in the skid plate. And then when I park the bike, it leans over and it all pours out. And that's basically why there was such a big puddle. So I think the leak is actually a lot less than it appears, although it's any leak I'm not happy with. But yeah, so I'll order those parts and I'll try to replace everything again, including that sleeve this time. And yeah, we'll see what happens. One other thing I did try to do just now is I took my seal doctor that I use on my fork. So it just goes under the seal and tries to scrape out any dirt that could be in there. I just took that seal doctor and went under there. Nothing really came out except for oil. So that probably didn't fix the issue. So yeah, this is going to be an ongoing issue that I'll try attempt to fix in a future episode. But there are some positives. I do know how to replace that seal now because we've done it once already. The bike has more power now down low, so the modifications were good. I didn't really get to test out the steering damper today, but that'll definitely happen in a future video. I'm excited to get off-road. And but yeah, overall just a nice chill ride today in the Dutch countryside with Jeroen. And yeah, we got to see some windmills. How do you say in Dutch? Windmolen?
Windmolen.
Windmolen.
Yeah, that's it.
And I just want to thank you for allowing me to use your garage and helping me with all this stuff.
You're more than welcome. You're more than welcome.
I really appreciate that.
I'm glad we could help out. So.
There's one last thing we have to do. I have this camera.
Oh, cool.
We have to take a selfie. There. All right. You gotta smile. Look in the lens, though. Look in the lens. All right.
Did it work?
Yeah. And then...
Error.
This happened last time. Turn off the camera. Okay. I'll try one more time. Nope, it's not working.
Nope. Nothing. Be
sure to check out Jeroen's channel, Dutch Shed Builds. He's working on this one right now. He knows so much more about bikes than I do. I think this is a Honda CB500. He's got these beautiful bikes here. All right, so with that, we'll end the video here. There'll be a link on the screen to my Patreon if you want to help support my journey around the world. And there'll also be a link on the screen to either the next episode or another episode that you might like to watch. All right, I'll see you next time. Bye.